showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor. Check it out, y'all.
Here's a bonus. You heard it before.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Serving that heat. Now turn it up. GCOM Radio.
Went to work, big bro was in the kitchen. Had them fiends dancing like they knew addition. Niggas tryna link, I keep them at a distance. All that fake love come with bad intentions. Known a few killers since like elementary. Couldn't crack a smile, these niggas ain't friendly. I stay out the crowd, I can feel the envy. Sipping on brown, listening to Pimp C. R.I.P. Lil Ronnie, wish you had your life back. Shit was unfair, sometimes life is like that. Back out Twinkle now, taught me how to fight back. TJ heard my first song, he helped me write that. Shout out Plaza where I spent them lonely nights at. Only made me stronger, gave me new muscle. Pecan Gardens taught me how to hustle. And when you getting money, these niggas don't love you. My mama went to work, big bro was in the kitchen. Had them fiends dancing like they knew addition. Niggas tryna link, I keep them at a distance. All that fake love come with bad intentions. I don't really trust nobody, no. 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 My mama went to work, big bro was in the kitchen. Had them fiends dancing like they knew addition. Niggas tryna link, I keep them at a distance. All that fake love come with bad intentions.
All right, we are back for another episode. This is Nova Phoenix. I'm your host on GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio, and you just heard my guy Lucid with his song Trust Nobody. Haven't heard from him in a long time, so definitely had to get him on a replay on the podcast. What is going on, y'all? I hope your week has been productive, even though you're at home, sheltering in at home during this COVID-19 shelter in thing going on across the nation. And I say productive because this is the time to figure out who you are, man. You're staying at home, you're kicking it with your kids, you're trying to eat right. And I've been trying to eat right. I've been trying. Haven't been working out as much as I should. I know I should be working out, but hopefully you guys are doing what you got to do to be the best human being that you can be wherever you reside around the world, and this just not the United States of America. So I know my week was all right. Took a quick trip with the family up there to Bear Mountain just to see about getting out, man. Just getting out. You know, we've been inside and just trying to listen to what the experts are saying, trying to flatten the curve. So went up to Bear Mountain, haven't been there in a long time, and it's beautiful, man. There were people up there. Some people were wearing masks, others weren't, which I was curious about. People stayed out there on the grass. People went up the mountain, and I got a little bit up the mountain, but came back down. And I do plan to go back to Bear Mountain and just, take in nature, man. It's good to take in nature. And folks, you got to listen to what the experts are saying. Wear your mask, man. Wear your mask when you go out in public. It doesn't matter how spaced out that you think you're going to be from people. Please wear your mask. And I saw a lot of folks that didn't have. There were a lot of folks with their masks, but I think it was an equal amount of people that weren't wearing any. I know I had mine on. My kid had mine on. My wife, she had hers on, and just wanted to play it safe. So definitely gonna reach out there and go out to Bear Mountain and enjoy nature. I think that's a beautiful thing. So as far as what I've been catching on for this week, man, Bernie is out the race. Bernie Sanders is out the race, and that's all good. I don't mind. I know Sean King and a lot of Bernie bros are hurt because Bernie bowed out, but I think COVID-19 is affecting a lot of what's happening around us, and especially with this presidential race. And I think it was a smart thing for Bernie to kind of step down and focus on trying to get this orange freaking baboon out the freaking office. And I think that was he was what do you call him, staying party loyal and doing what's best for the nation, and not rocking the boat. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's all about playing a strategic game, and it's not about self. It's not about playing party politics. As far as not playing party politics, my bad. It really just being selfish and saying, no, this guy's not going to do it. He's trying to look out for what's best for the nation, and that means getting this huge yacht. And that's, I think, a perfect word for it. This huge yacht back in the right direction. So, yeah, man, don't trip, y'all. Don't trip. And I think it's going to be interesting how things are going to be turning out in the coming weeks. How Biden's going to play up. I'm kind of concerned with Biden because it looks like, we're doing Reagan 2.0 all over again. Looks like he's losing a little bit of his mental strength. So I'm concerned about that. So I think it's important for him to get a VP that is half his age. So in case anything happens, you have backup. So I believe in that. What else is going on? Movies are moving online. Movies are moving online. As I said before in my previous show, here it is. A lot of the because again with COVID-19, people are not going to the theaters, so movie production houses are deciding, okay, let's move it straight to VOD, which is dope. And I enjoyed a few movies. Haven't seen a lot, as funny as that may sound, because I'm just busy, man. I can't do it all, and these folks have already buttered their bread and making their money. I got to do what I got to do for me. You know what I mean? But yeah, a couple of movies are coming out, and I think it's going to be a hard thing to pull away from. I think people, once this whole shelter-in thing is lifted, people are still going to be concerned about going out in public, and they should be, because we don't know what the effect is going to be as far as the COVID is spreading, how widespread that's going to get by reintroducing the public into public spaces. And we got to be wary of that. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a New Yorker, and I was part of 9/11. And I remember when the governor at the time, I think it was Chris Christie, I think, but the governor at the time, and people, you can look that up, they would say, no, go ahead, everybody in the mayor too, let's go back to work, little man, go back to work. And a lot of people were suffering from respiratory illnesses because they went back too soon. And I know why they were saying for people to go back to work, because they wanted the people, the people that's rowing the boat to get back to rowing this huge boat. And it wasn't a concern about people's health, because it's not like they would say, okay, people, we may have some issues with the atmosphere, or with the air conditions, the air quality. We suggest and recommend you guys wear masks and such and so forth. They just wanted to shove people back to work. So I'm concerned by them lifting this shelter in too soon, lifting it and sending people back out, that it might reinfect those that were smart enough to listen to the experts and stay inside. So I'm concerned with that. So we're going to see how that plays out. The next thing is that RZA versus DJ Premier battle. Of course, how everybody's still trying to social connect and be on IG and talk to each other. And this one, when I heard about it, I could not miss it. It was RZA versus DJ Premier, two titans of the hip hop game. They came together, and it wasn't even like they were going at each other's necks, throwing out darts like that. It wasn't even doing that, but it was two cats that were legends that appreciated all the contributions that they made to hip hop and the good music, and they just respected each other and was speaking to each other before playing the joints, and they would play the joints, and I think it was great for these two these two gentlemen, and it was great for the audience, man. And me included, a part of that audience, man. I was smiling ear to ear, kept on bumping my head, breaking my neck. It was beautiful, So yeah, big ups to RZA and DJ Premier for really doing it for the masses, for the fans, just giving us something to do while we doing this shelter in thing. So big ups to them. Another thing that went on, Punjab, India. Now check this out. There was an article that came out saying that Punjab, India, the people for the first time in decades saw the Himalayan mountain peaks right at the horizon. And they haven't seen it in decades. You know why? Because we pollute our atmosphere with all the cars and the chugging and the chimneys and all that. We pollute our skies. So it was a beautiful realization that you can actually see the Himalayan mountains peaks from Punjab, India. And it goes to show two things: how much we play a part in adversely affecting our ecosystem, our environment, and also how long it would take, how short of a time it would take for nature to slowly start fixing itself. And for whatever that we're putting in the air, it's slowly starting to dissipate and spread out and kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just starts to, the earth starts to heal, for better choice of words. The earth starts to heal. And it didn't take that much time. It was about a month of the lockdown, and all of a sudden, the pollution started breaking, and the people from Punjab, India can actually see the Himalayan mountain peaks. Now, what do we got to do? As we lift this thing and people are going to go back driving these ICE, internal combustion engine vehicles, we're going to go right back to it. But I know that we can change that. You know how we can change that? We can change that from actually moving over to solar, to Tesla vehicles. That's it. Battery powered cars. Instead of ICE engines and all those things that we're doing to pollute our atmosphere, our environment, I think it's just time to move over to sustainable energies, and we can keep looking at the Himalayan mountain peaks. For the Punjab Indian, for those in Punjab, India anyway. Last thing I want to mention is Insecure is back with Issa Rae and the whole team. I enjoyed that first episode. That was beautiful. Always love to see Issa Rae do her thing on Insecure. We'll be looking forward to checking out the future shows. Now, let's just get into the first segment of the show. This just gets into what a lifer is. I spoke on a number of different times about Lyfeblood.com and what the website is about, but not exactly what a lifer is. What is a lifer? And I'll try to be as quickly as possible so I can stay within the limits of the segment. So let's go with the first one, and there are 10 points, and I'll definitely list this out as 10 points on the website just so people can see what a lifer is, so you know exactly what they're getting into. Now, it's open to all people, but these are the core values that we hope that lifers can follow as they mature within the lifer community. Now, number one, a lifer is an individual with an open mind, of course, and practices the best of what humans create and what we can contribute to the greater society. We want to focus on what is the best for society as far as human interaction, technology, spirit, art, and health. It is very important. We're trying to advance the human soul, the human experience. A lot of times, as I said before, our technology is outpacing our humanity. It's time for our humanity to step up and work hand in hand with the technology that we create in this age that we are living in. Number two, a lifer practices a decentralized means of economic practice. As I said it before on previous shows, we're living in a centralized form of an economic system. And a decentralized, we're not focusing on access to one institution. Our access is the group. Our access is our neighbors, the people around us. We do not live without the group. The group comes first. Whatever we need, it's important that we ask and access the group and so the group can access you. Number 3, they do not take part in the exploitation. Lifers do not take part in the exploitation of human beings in whatever capacity. We are not here to take advantage of people. Just like how this system currently works within this COVID-19 situation, where you have people trying to mark up the prices of products. Now, yeah, they do have 311, and you can contact someone at 311 and report someone that is price gouging. But this is nothing new. This is something that's always happened throughout the history of this country and around the world. And what we do not exploit people for their resources or for whoever they are. If they cannot have a quality of life, then I believe if you cannot give someone or help someone have a quality of life, that will in turn come back on you. If you try to let someone else suffer, that same individuals that's directly affected or indirectly affected can come back on you. We do not believe in the exploitation of anyone. Number 4, in light of the systems that we exist in, we have to move within them so we can reach our goal. We understand a lot of people might say, well, no, you always talking about sustainable energy and doing this and do that. Why don't you just move to a farm and be in some kind of commune? No, it's not necessary. I understand there are certain things that we do have to live in the system that we live in. As far as, for instance, as cars, we have to use ICE vehicles, right? Internal combustion engines. There is no way around that. We use gas. That is the current system that we live in. But we look forward to trying to achieve the goal of moving off into the Tesla vehicle, of what Elon Musk is doing. We understand the constraints that we're living in, but it's something that it's going to happen in incremental steps. And eventually we will get to there. We understand we're still using oil and all these other things that are a detriment to the human body and for the health and safety of humanity. But we're going to eventually get to the point where we can shuffle off these things and we no longer have to use them. Number 5, we believe of the natural balance within ourselves and how we live from day to day. We are not controlled by artificial systems like the rise and fall of the stock market. Listen, the stock market is there. It's there. It's always going to be there. It's been there. And eventually, to be honest with you, just like how things begin, they will end. So yes, the stock market will end. The American society, as we know, it will end. It's what happens. It's just life. It's a natural state of life. But we do not live by those standards, because of course, when something happens, how does the market rise and fall? Market rises and fall with the consumer confidence or the investor's confidence, more likely. And as soon as people start losing faith for whatever it is, we fall off, the market dips, we go into a recession. We cannot be controlled by these things. We will not be controlled by these things. It's the same thing as people use an example. If you have orange crops and all of a sudden you have a long winter and destroys your orange crops, and all of a sudden what happens to orange? The prices of orange goes up because there's less of them to sell. Of course, those are natural things that human beings have been victims to, but now our technology is catching up to the point where we do not have to be victims of our own natural environment. We can step outside of that if we so need be, especially when it comes to our agriculture. Number 6, it kind of leads into number 6, scarcity is a myth. We believe in abundance. The earth provides, and humans can manifest more from what the earth provides. And I just said about an example of oranges. A better example of what's going on in Africa. They have a swarm of locusts that's eaten up all the vegetation, and it is a serious problem to villages in East Africa. And they don't know where they're going to get their food from. It's a serious problem. So they're trying to get some pesticides to kill these locusts. But, I don't have the answers to that. But that's why, as far as Lyfeblood.com, we try to get people from various backgrounds we can pull from their expertise, from their studies, from their learnings. If you have a PhD, whatever it in, whatever you have it in, it's important that we can pull those resources, those mental resources, so we can come up with better solutions. But in that example, that's why we believe in hydroponic farming and vertical farming. If we can build a vertical farm as tall as the Empire State Building, we would not be victim to the natural
to the natural, say, agents of our environment, the animals and insects and all these things that we worry about that can kill our crops, and we have to figure out how we're going to eat for the next season. We don't have to be victims of that. We can actually make sure we grow our foods that's protected and isolated and housed. And yeah, you might have, a swarm of locusts that's coming out of nowhere. Who knows how that happened in Africa? But we don't have to worry about our food being destroyed because of it. Okay, the next one, number 7. We are the expression of nature like every other creation. We mirror those truths in the way we behave. For instance, sexuality. Whatever they human beings, we are part of nature. And understanding that fact, nature expresses itself in many ways, in living animals, insects, mammals, and whatever. And the beauty is in the variety that we see before us. Watch any nature show. Now, how do we set ourselves apart from that? I don't know how we set ourselves apart. We are part of the ecosystem. We are a part of our environment. And just like how nature expresses itself in many ways, the same way we're human beings, our own bodies will manifest itself in many ways. And it comes into sexuality. And I'm not here to say that I'm super progressive in mind. Certain things I don't understand as far as sexuality is concerned. But the fact remains is that my understanding has nothing to do with one's validity. And I can accept the fact that I don't understand it. And I'm not going to try to take away your value in any way. You are who you are, whether you're gay or whatever the case may be. That's your business. And if you go through the scrolls, in ancient scrolls, in whatever culture that you are studying in, homosexuality has been around for like thousands of years. It's not like like a volcano erupted and the ash fell down on human beings and people just started to, be gay or whatever like that. When you study and you're a student of history, like, this thing goes back like as far back as, the written language. So I believe you are who you are, and that's what it is. The other way is, as I see it, especially when it comes to union, when it comes to marriages. If you believe in polygamy, if you believe in monogamy, that's your decision to make. And I feel like if society can understand and agree with a man marrying and a woman marrying, why can't we understand that people will have multiple partners? That's what they believe in. And it's not no occultish business. Okay, that's just your own personal choice. And then within the Lyfeblood community, it's like, if you want to live like that, that's your business. Whether you believe in monogamy, whether you believe in polygamy, or whatever the case may be, that's your life. Okay, that's not, we're not here to control that. That's your own personal decision. Of course, there's certain things we don't go, but that's another subject. But outside of that, that's your own personal business. Number 8. We believe in advancing society with the technology we create, but not at the detriment of human life. We're a lot of talk is happening about this 5G thing and how it's dangerous to human beings and how it's killing plant life. And I saw a video where a 5G antenna was probably like 10-15 feet away from a tree. Half the tree was dead that was faced towards the antenna, and the other half was alive. There's evidence that our phone antennas are causing cancer in human beings that are living next to it. I'm in the business of health and safety, and there are people that I spoke to that lived on the top floor to some of these high rises, and they felt they were getting an actual buzz from the antenna stations that are on top of these roofs. Now, of course, there's a lot of data and white papers put out from the telephone companies saying that it's minimal. You don't have to worry about it causing cancer. But as far as Lyfeblood is concerned, when people do bring their inventions and things that are beautiful in its creation, what we're not going to do is we're not going to push that invention through when we know it's at the detriment of human health and safety. We're not going to do that. Studies will be done to make sure that this is not a problem. So we believe in technology, we believe in advancing society, but not because we're trying to rush, because we're trying to beat some competitor that's out there. We're not going to do that. Number 9, we believe in the balance of the natural world and the world we create. There's to be balance in our natural resources, our water, our air, and our forests. We do not believe in destroying our environment. We need it. As I said, we are animals in nature. We are not separate from that. And if we destroy nature, we destroy ourselves. We must seek balance within ourselves and seek balance with our natural environment. And that means one of that balance is leaving nature alone. If, as you know what that saying goes, if you really love something, you will leave it alone. And I'm not a big believer, and this is something that's a slow, gradual coming to an understanding with myself with as far as zoos is concerned. I don't think we need zoos. We can send people out into the bush and then film, do like a 5-hour documentary. I don't think we need zoos, especially with this whole thing when I just recently saw the Tiger King and people are illegally selling wild animals. It's crazy. Leave animals right where they are. Leave them. We don't need to be messing with nature. We can see it. We can, we can revel in its beauty. We can appreciate it, but not, laying down nature because we want to put down a parking lot or we want to put down a strip mall. We're not doing that. And lastly, we believe in constant practice of justice, fairness, and balance. Without that, society will fall apart. And there are a lot of instances where society does fall apart and people become angry and frustrated. And out of that comes aggression and hate. And it's a constant. I'm not talking about the Constitution or the law. No, I'm talking about honest balance of justice, fairness, and pretty much justice and fairness. A balance to that. We seek balance in all things. So that's what a Lyfer is. Hopefully I hit all those points that I wanted to make. And like I said before at the beginning, I will break it down into a 10-point just to know, just to show you guys what a Lyfer is as you're coming into the Lyfer community within Lyfeblood.com. And this is about bringing the best of us on into this community and forwarding humanity as it should. And I guarantee you it's going to look totally different from the outside world. That's how we're going to live. Okay, so we're going to move on to the artist that we have after the first segment. And that artist is, who do we got here? That's Sienna Pelakai. She is from, born and raised in Hawaii and lives in Las Vegas right now. She's got a song called What's Wrong with Love. I think this one is dope. So check out Sienna. What's up, Sienna? Shout out to Dove for hooking me up with her music. Dove Clark, man. That's a legend in her own right. She's been doing this music business for a long time, so she is working with Sienna to get her music out there. So let's check out Sienna. All right, What's Wrong with Love?
Hey, turn it up. GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio.
Tell me where you've been lately. You stick on and I stay faded. Still checking on my phone, our notifications on, but you're the only one I wanna hear from. Why can't I just call you up and tell you that I miss you? Would you even believe it? This generation's fucked up, so resistant to love. Got you thinking that you don't even need it. What's wrong with love? Your kiss got me way up, anticipating that good love, yeah. What's wrong with love? Don't hesitate if you feel it. Give it up to you 'cause you need it, yeah, yeah. What's wrong with love? What's wrong with love? What's wrong with love? It's a shame that you can't say it. Too afraid to admit it. You think you're unworthy, baby, you deserve me. Nobody knows you better than I do. Why can't I just call you up and tell you that I miss you? Would you even believe it? This This generation's fucked up, so resistant to love. Got you thinking that you don't even need it. What's wrong with love? Your kiss got me way up, anticipating that good love, yeah. What's wrong with love? Don't hesitate if you feel it. Give it up to you, cause you need it, yeah, yeah. What's wrong with love? What's wrong with love? Yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. What's wrong with love?
This is GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. Come join, be a Lyfer. Practice dollar power and build financial independence.
Okay, we are back. That was Sienna Pelagai. What's wrong with love? She has a future ahead of her. Young, full of vitality. She has her eyes on the prize. So big ups to Sienna. I wish you best of luck in your music career. Sorry, folks, if I felt like I was rushing through the segment. I was trying to stay on time with the segment. Sometimes I just don't like going over and being long-winded, even though everybody always tell me I'm long-winded anyway. But I was just trying to get in at least within 20 minutes. I try to keep it at max for the segment, and just explaining what a Lyfer is. So if anybody is interested in learning more, want to know more, there's going to be 10 points, a 10-point list of what it is to be a Lyfer, and I will definitely list that somewhere and make it all nice and neat and let you know as you come in through this door, this is what it's about. So, all right, before we move on, you know what we have to do. We have to do business of the week. All right, guys, check this one out.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up.
Bringing you the business of the week and its innovative founders. It's what you've been waiting for.
There are plenty of black-owned products available, but not many delivery companies to ensure products are sent to where they need to go. Black folks are fully involved with buying online, yet are ready to dismantle any business that doesn't get their products to their homes in the same time as the establishment delivery businesses like UPS, USPS, FedEx, and DHL. Introducing Trans Taylor Logistics, a St. Louis-based business founded by Orrin Taylor. It's a delivery service that brings the products to you directly right to your doorstep. On top of that, delivery is free. From hair care products to toilet paper, Trans Taylor is taking a step in the right direction for door-to-door services right in their community. Lyfeblood.com would like to salute Trans Taylor Logistics for becoming the new FedEx for black communities in the Midwest. Go to transtaylor.com for more info. All right, man, this is we're back. We're rocking and rolling. We're gonna get into the second segment. So, I saw this article about billionaires, and sometimes I give billionaires a lot of shit, and rightfully so, because the world, and as far as this nation is concerned, more particular, a lot of people has been left out, and there's been a lot of pompous, holier than thou attitude from billionaires that feel like they were born into their riches. And most of them are, but as far as they feel that their hard work made them billionaires, they got lucky, man. A lot of if you're a first-time billionaire, you got lucky, and you maintain that, and you have a system that supports you living as a billionaire. But a lot of them lose themselves as they are awash with their money, and they look at people as the peons. But in this case, with COVID-19. I like to say, I read an article, there are a lot of people that are stepping up as far as billionaires is concerned. We have Blackstone CEO Steve Schwarzman, firm donated $15 million to fight the coronavirus. Bill Gates. He had to. I'm still not sure about Bill Gates, and I'll tell you a little bit more later, probably now or if I have time, or later in the next segment. And because he's been a self-professed eugenicist, and I'll play you more information. See if I can stick that in somewhere. But I'll get into a little bit more of that later. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he had $46 billion endowment to fight infectious diseases from his billionaire brethren, and him himself donated $125 million specifically to fight coronavirus. Now, there's certain things before I continue, and I say this and I underline that in this with bold letters. Africa, say it again, Africa is not for you to give experimental drugs to. Africa are not a land, or is not a land of guinea pigs. All right. If you feel like you have vaccines that you want to test, there are a lot of other places that have been ravaged by coronavirus that you can test over there. Africa is not a place for you to test your experimental drugs. And African Americans and African people are very well aware of the history when it comes to outside people, and I'm saying specifically, and I'm going to be real, Europeans, racist Europeans that have given things using the Trojan horse method. They try to say, oh, okay, well, we're doing this for the greater of humanity, and then all of a sudden you're giving drugs that's killing people. So I will say that with bold letters, Africa is not a land of guinea pigs. So take those drugs someplace else, and I say that for that reason. And if any one of those billionaires that listen to the show feels that I'm wrong, please come forward, and I would love to talk to you, and I will lay down, and I have all my notes ready for you to say the history of what African Americans went through in this country and what African people have gone through in the transatlantic slave trade. So please be my guest. Step up, give me a call, hit me on IG. I would gladly speak to you. Steve Ballmer, CEO of Microsoft, put in $25 million in Seattle, Los Angeles, and Detroit, where he goes to. Computer mogul Michael Dell has put up $100 million towards coronavirus philanthropy. Twitter and CEO Jack Dorsey gave $1 billion pledge to fight coronavirus. Laurene Powell Jobs, along with Leonardo DiCaprio, Apple, and the Ford Foundation, has launched a fundraising page to raise $15 million for the World Central Kitchen and Feeding America. And of course, Robert Kraft sent his Patriots Boeing 767 to China to bring back $1.2 million N95 masks. A $20 million contribution has been made by billionaire Leon Black to healthcare workers in New York City. And billionaire John Paul DeJoria, he's the owner of the John Paul Mitchell Systems. He does the work with the hairdresser Paul Mitchell. I haven't heard that name in a long time. I didn't even know they were still around. Well, anyway, he's putting in the money to help those restart the business. Now, the funny thing was that, and I say all this, okay, the billionaires, they're kind of doing their thing. However, this is the funny thing. So I went downstairs, just had to do a quick pickup, and I bumped into a friend of mine, and he works for the MTA buses. And he wanted to go on to tell me that they're not getting a lot of help. A lot of the bus operators are not getting a lot of help. Their bus, their driving stations in the bus, where they drive the bus, it's not clean. It's not clean on the regular. They'd be given one small bottle of alcohol, alcohol liquid, and they were given N95 masks that's supposed to last a week. And that's all they begin. And I'm like, really? Get out of here. He was like, yeah, man, we're not getting nothing. We're like a redheaded stepchild. We're not getting nothing. I'm like, what? That's crazy. He happened to be with a friend of his that works for the state. He works at Roosevelt Island, and they're not getting a lot of PPE to help them. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad. There are certain things that they do help. They were giving, they can work. The guy that works for the state of Roosevelt Island can work for 2 hours and still get paid for a full 8. And also, the MTA does cut some of the runs for some of these bus drivers, and they will pay according to whatever gets them most money. I think of what he said, if there's more hours on a specific route or something or other, that they get paid more, the top portion of whatever they earn based on their route. It was something into that fact, but the fact is they're still exposed, these MTA drivers, and it made me think that I'm hoping all this money getting thrown around, all this assistance for COVID-19, for more respirators, for more masks, or more PPE for these underserved hospitals, or not just underserved hospitals, the hospitals in general, that this stuff is making its way to these nurses that are on the front line. Now, it makes me think about that whole thing with American Red Cross, where remember when that earthquake happened in Haiti, and American Red Cross did this this fundraising thing, and I think they fundraised close to $1 billion. Now, it was an article that came out, I believe it was in the New York Times, where it turns out that the money that was raised, that was supposed to build housing for people in Haiti that lost their homes, only guess how many homes were built? 2 homes. 2 homes were built from $1 billion that was donated to the American Red Cross, and I donated some of that money myself, and I felt so betrayed. And they were asked, the people, top execs over at American Red Cross, what happened to all that money, and they simply said, administrative costs. Yes. So again, it makes me think all this money that's getting thrown around for COVID-19, are these nurses and are these hospitals, especially the underserved ones, getting what they need? Is this trickling down to the workers? And my friend said from the MTA, the guy from the state said, it probably not. All this money gets tossed around, especially from this relief fund, and this money is not making its way down to the people. Again, the people get gypped. They get the short end of the stick. So we're finding out all of this money is being given. All of this PPE from this money have been bought and being shipped to the places where they're needed. But how do we know they're getting to where they need to be? How do we know they're getting to to these places? How do we know they're getting to these hospitals? How do we know where they're getting to the people that need them? It's not like they're raising their hands or there's a news show saying, hey, this is coming from ... How do we know? How do we know? How do we ensure that all this money that these billionaires are professing that they're given is actually helping the cause? How do we know? So it makes me think. It made me, I want to believe, so believe that this is getting to the people in need. But I know from history, especially from what I said with this Red Cross thing, I know from history, in reality, this is not a thing that we can have full trust in. And I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned. Because you have millions of masks that's being shipped from one point to the next point, and you have all this money, but is it really getting there? So I was gonna leave this segment saying, hey, the billionaires are given, but again, my skepticism, my history of understanding how people are, human nature, when it comes to greed and money, it makes me question it at best. I don't have any evidence, but it just makes me think. If anybody's out there, is anybody from any major news sources, and I'll reach out to them, like, is this making a difference? Is this getting to the people? So I'm hoping it does. And to me, the answers are have to be from the people, and you can't expect it to come from certain politicians and government, and you can't expect it to come from billionaires either. So it has to be from the people themselves. So yeah, it's sad. Anyway, all right, let's get into the next songs. So this is from, I didn't even write down this. I thought I wrote down this brother's. Oh my God, I thought I wrote down this brother's song name, and I didn't. And I feel like a jerk. This guy's song is Might As Well featuring Eshon Burgundy. Let me just write this down. Might as well. Okay. Okay. So let's get into our next song of the show. We'll get into Cellus Hamilton with his song Might As Well featuring his brother Eshon Burgundy. And right after that, we'll get into Ella M, Take Yourself Home. She's come from Reading, England. and now she is now a U.S. transplant. She lives in Los Angeles now. So I love her silky voice, and hear her out, give her a chance. So coming up with Cellus Hamilton with Might As Well, and Ella M would Take Yourself Home. All right, guys, see you soon.
You know what you're rocking to?
Rocking with the best.
Only the best. GCOM Radio.
I don't know about the method, but all I know they gon' kill me, I represent. These is parables telling you how it is. Sacrificing my every comfort to give. Malcolm Martin, Jesus was murdered for doing this. Live your life for others and giving up for the poor. Speaking for the voiceless and reconciling the wrong. Fight against the darkness and making sure it's exposed. They tell me to stop, never, my life was never my own. A bullet just sound, my stomach just turned. I'm moving around the side of the town where it's hip and cool to be down. Not running away from the fight. These homies is brave, not braver than me, cause my life too precious for grave. But the one who rose from the grave has commissioned me, studied his words and picked up his empathy. Now I see the hood differently, so why would I move from it? Just like the dancers on TV stole all the moves from it. But back to my sermon about life, though it's really about death. I live to make the world better and die to my flesh. I live to overcome the evil and stomp on his head, and in the process kill these rappers in every breath. But when the music stops, the realest ones done standing. Since I would never bow, they gon' aim to give legs in my head damage. I'ma live like Jesus till the day I die. I never bow, so you might as well take my life. In the presence of witnesses, grateful to witness this modern day ministry. Jesus versus nemesis, Peter versus crucifixion is the farther I get from evil, nearer the evil. I don't know about the method, but all I know they gon' kill me, I represent. These is parables telling you how it is. Sacrificing my every comfort to give. Malcolm Martin, Jesus was murdered for doing this. Live your life for others and giving up for the poor. Speaking for the voiceless and reconciling the wrong. Fight against the darkness and making sure it's exposed. They tell me to stop, never, my life was never my own.
I'm just trying to be a blessing, knowing I ain't gotta try to be when I'm honestly a reflection. Even I will lie to me if I'm honest about deception. Sin bring me novelty, the word brings me correction. Every rebuke ain't pleasant, every refute ain't flexing on the part of others. The mind of the Father is far above us, and we remain in this game though they try to shrug us. That's okay, I know what it would mean if the world would love us. And that woman from Proverbs 7 come try to cuff us. She went and put myrrh and aloe upon her covers. It's through the snares of the flesh that death will try to touch us. Before I'm crushed by these puppets, I'ma preach to the gutters. Cause in this narcissistic world, I'ma serve my brothers. Complacency, blatantly attempting to try to drug us. All this truth in me, proof I'm ready for scrutiny. And every song I sing, I introduce thee to the God above us.
In the presence of witnesses, grateful to witness this modern day ministry. Jesus versus nemesis, Peter versus crucifixion is the farther I get from evil, nearer the evil come. I feel it, they plotting, they feel me, they blocking. I kill it, they copy, they just won't stop me young. I feel it, they plotting, they feel me, they blocking. I kill it, they copy, they just won't stop me young. I don't know about the method, but all I know they gon' kill me, I represent. These is parables telling you how it is. Sacrificing my every comfort to give. Malcolm Martin, Jesus was murdered for doing this. Live your life for others and giving up for the poor. Speaking for the voiceless and reconciling the wrong. Fight against the darkness and making sure it's exposed. They tell me to stop, never, my life was never my own.
On the #1 podcast platform in the world, GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio.
Part of it. I take my rose glasses off. I'm staring at a different picture. Needed this sooner. Don't even know you leave me suffocating, holding. take my rose glasses off. I'm staring at a different picture. Needed it sooner. Don't even know you leave me suffocating, holding on to anything I can touch. Thing I can touch. Keeping my head under the water, breathing slow. I'll wait for you to leave me alone. Take yourself home. You suffocate everything that you touch, and you don't even know I'm holding a grudge. You know that we got it badly. We cannot disguise this badly. You suffocate everything that you touch, and you don't even know I'm holding a grudge. We don't want the same thing sadly. You can force me to be happy.
Okay, yeah, man, that was Cellus Hamilton with Might As Well featuring Eshon, Burgundy, and LAM. Welcome to the United States of America, LAM. Hopefully that you're having a grand old time. So shout out to LAM and her song, Take Yourself Home. All right, guys, you know what we got to do in this third segment. We have to get into the news you need to know. Hopefully while you're driving or doing dishes or whatever, as you're listening to me, that this information helps you out. All right, let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Around the world and right in your neighborhood, it's the news you need to know.
A few days of lockdown, and we discovered a wildlife slowly making its way back into where humans walk about. Baby rabbits crossing roads in Christchurch, New Zealand. Pumas are strolling into Chile from the Andes Mountains, and wild boar sniff along Diagonal Avenue in Barcelona. It doesn't take long for nature to find its way back into the quote-unquote modern world. According to Lee Hanna, senior scientist at Conservation International, there are 4 ways to battle a pandemic. 3 deals with having a stockpile of masks, having testing infrastructure, and a ban on global wildlife trade. The most important is taking care of nature, maintain wildlife habitats, and lessen the mingling of people and wildlife. As the lockdown comes to a close in Wuhan, China, the wet markets have reopened. It's still widely believed from science experts that this disease came from wet markets working in unsanitary conditions. Having healthy, long-standing foods. In these times of sheltering during this coronavirus pandemic, we do take the time to venture out to restock our kitchen shelves. Some foods can go quickly, but here are healthy foods that last in the freezer cupboards or fridge. Dried or canned beans, nuts, seeds, and butters, grains, frozen fruit or vegetables, honeys and maple syrups, apple cider vinegars, that's for sauces, dressings, or baked goods, healthy fats for cooking, which can be coconut oil, vegetable oil, or olive oil, fermented foods, that's sauerkraut, kimchi, or pickles, spices and dried herbs, garlic and onions, long-lasting fruits and veggies such as apples, beets, cabbage, spaghetti squash, rutabagas, carrots, pomegranates, and more, frozen fish and poultry, eggs, they can last up to 5 weeks in the fridge, and full-fat yogurts. Let's restock our shelves with the right long-lasting foods for healthy living. And that is the news you need to know. Okay, that was hopefully that was interesting news for you guys. So yeah, we're gonna just go right into the third segment. So I watch a lot of different news sources, major media news sources, and also independent news, and from a variety of different places. And I come to find out I just had a lot of disagreements with some of the, how should I say, I guess you could call them YouTube or social media public figures that have cemented their stance in the online world. And I do appreciate the information that they give, but I do have disagreements. And I know, even though I have disagreements with the way they talk about some of the things that are going on around the world, I do appreciate the fact that they're trying to have the spirit of an independent nature and share information that the people need. And especially when it comes from the black community or for the black community. So yeah, man. So a couple of things that I think are necessary is if you're going to share information with the public, especially when it comes to the black communities, is you got to have reputable sources. Not all sources will be 100% right, but it's important that you gather the information from these sources, because the more people that listen to your words, the more they depend on you to give them the information that they need. Now, if you have a gathering of 100,000 people, 200,000 people that listen to you, are dedicated to what you give on your YouTube channel or your podcast or whatever that you do, they're going to you for a reason, because they themselves don't believe in a lot of the news that are on 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11. And other major news networks. So they are trusting in you to give them the real deal. And if they're going to trust in you to give them the real deal and they listen to you religiously on one week out to the next, it is your responsibility on your platform to give them the news that is close to the real deal as possible. You don't want to go off into flights of fancy. It does not help your brand. Once you start riding off into the sunset with information that's you can't back it up and you're coming down, there's nothing wrong with your opinions. There's nothing wrong with having opinions. But when you start riding off into the sunset with crazy stuff that really doesn't have any basis to truth or fact, that's when it's bad for your brand. Because you have to realize the intelligence of the people that listen to you. A lot of people will just listen to you because they're emotionally connected to you. But for those that are a little bit more critical of the words that you say, you got to do your due diligence and do the work and stick to the facts. Stick to the facts. Stick to the facts only. One thing that I do is no matter how things get crazy when it comes to the black community in America, and I could go off and curse and say all types of things to the enemy, quote unquote, that really don't have the best interests of the black community in mind, African American folks in this country and even in Africa throughout the diaspora. But I just don't settle for name calling. That's not my thing. If sometimes, hey man, I may say things that I do want to name call, but really most of the times, 90% of the time, 95%, I still stick to the facts. I don't need to go that deep because their actions themselves will show the devilish way. So I don't really have to go as far as, cursing people out or saying, I don't think it's necessary. And don't insult people. I hate when people get you. If the dude, look, I get it sometimes. You don't do what you want to do. And I'm not trying to check what you're going to, it's your platform. It is your YouTube channel. You're going to do what you do. But personally, my opinion is, why insult folk? Now, I'm not talking about the enemy, quote unquote, they. I'm not talking about, quote unquote, them. I'm talking about if you have a disagreement with your own folk that do the same thing. Don't insult. Don't insult people. It doesn't help your cause. There's nothing wrong with jokes. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with jokes. Even I throw a joke out there every now and then on something. But to denigrate and to really, step to a lower level of trying to insult somebody, and I don't know if say for instance, what's this dude's name? Roland Martin. I think it's Roland Martin. This particular cat, I'm gonna say his name, Tariq Nasheed. All right, so Tariq, I listen to him every now and then. I don't believe in a lot of stuff he says. Put it like this: I believe there's a lot of information that Tariq says is true, but there's a lot of stuff that I just don't necessarily. I don't drive with. I don't get with. But he be going at Roland. Maybe Roland said something to me, said something to him that he ain't like, and they got a personal beef. But damn, my man be going in on Roland Martin. It be funny sometimes. I laugh. But, you know, to me is if you have someone in your peer group that you are doing the same thing as far as journalism or whatever you do, I don't think you have to resort to name calling. Let their work be the thing that judges them. You know, whether they do quality work or they do half-ass work, let it speak for them. But Eli personally going at Roland Martin, I find it comical, but you know, I do things a little different. If my man get at me, I take it as like boxing. You gotta face someone like boxing. If they come at you, you do it, you go at them. But if they step up their little work and on coming at your neck, then you gotta, you know, do what's necessary and put up your guard, put it, you know what I mean? Put your fist, and when you find that opening, you throw in that effective jab or that hook, and you meet them work for work. You know what I mean? But when it goes into like trying to slice them down, you know, out of nowhere, it's not my style, but it is what it is. My thing is, if the information is coming from an independent black figure, it's important to talk about the commonalities. That's my thing. It's important to talk about commonalities, and unity is key, especially if information is coming from a prominent black figure that does the same thing as you. I can't stress that more. There is enough things that happen in the black community that you don't need to be divisive and throw slanderous terms out and all that. We don't need that right now. Now, like I said, the work is going to speak for itself. If my man's on some half-ass business, then people will peep through it, and you can, you know, call that out. But when you start throwing darts at somebody unnecessarily, it does nothing for your brand. It does nothing from the audience. It does nothing. All it does is incite division, and that's what we need. That's the last thing we need. I personally, I won't go for it. If I got a difference with Roland Martin and I use him as an example, I will point that out. But, you know, to go into you know, cutting them down to where that's just my thing. It's really not necessary. It's a waste of my time. It's not. I don't want that type of energy. You know what I mean? I look forward. That's my goal. If he does what he does, that's what he does. And I'm gonna call out the bullshit that Roland Martin would do, but I move forward, man. I'm all about building bridges and building up. I hate tearing down. We got enough of that with our own people. We got enough of that when they come into the circle and try to dismantle what we do. We don't need any more people that, especially our own, that's gonna ride on that and be divisive, and, you know, because they feed off of that. You know what I mean? They see the division, and your enemy will see that, and they will work that. So it's important that you don't air your dirty laundry in such a way where you create malice and hate. You know, that's my thing. And I think it's important to teach knowledge without having to hurt each other. And a lot of times when people throw darts like that, it's coming from a point of pain and distrust and struggle. You know, you're going through it all your life, and you can understand it. I can understand it where it's coming from. I don't agree with it. I can understand it. And you know, when you get in them in the circles and you start throwing those darts and doing the dozens, as they say, you know, at first it's funny and it's great, but you know, in the professional world, it does nothing. You know, it doesn't do anything. What else is my feelings about that? That's pretty much. And in a sense, you know, as I said before, strike when somebody throws one at you. I'm not saying be soft. I'm not saying lay down. I'm not saying any of those things. But put your energy in building up and building bridges. And when they strike, then you strike with the same intensity and ferocity. But that's, to me, that comes from discipline. Nothing I don't like is admit to your mistakes, man. And to me, it shows strength in your character. You know, I'm not in for like the rumors and the conspiracy theories and the, you know, the tinfoil koofies and cats is going deep and there's no evidence. It's nothing based on fact. You just running along with something. I don't like that, man. Because again, it does not work for the greater good of the community. Because if you have, as I said, 200,000 people following you religiously and they tune into what you're doing, especially from your background, you don't need to throw out all those conspiracy theories. Now, my thing is, a lot of facts come from people that step out and go above and beyond on conspiracy theories, and you find out, oh man, I mean, they got some truth to that. But if you're going to bring that, you got to bring evidence. You know what I mean? You got to bring evidence to be sure. And the reason why I bring that up, one of my scholarly fathers that made me who I am, that passed along, was Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, who wrote the book They Came Before Columbus. And there was one scholar that was pointing out a hieroglyph, and I could have this information wrong, and anybody correct me. He was pointing out a hieroglyph, and it looked like a spacecraft, and he was leading to the fact that, oh my God, spacecrafts landed at that time, and the ancient Egyptians must have met them and shook hands, and they traded knowledge, and the Egyptians put this imagery on the wall as a hieroglyph. And Dr. Ivan Van Sertima was like, whoa, let's not go there with that information. There is nothing, there's no facts, there's no evidence, there's nothing to corroborate what you feel is aliens floating down and greeting the ancient Egyptians. And I think he tried to pose, and he said, because you look stupid. Because if you're coming from a scholarly background, and people look up to you or look to you for solid, hardcore evidence in whatever field that you're in, people think you're going to do the work before you bring it. But if you bring some half-assed business, people won't respect you. And Dr. Ivan Van Sertima was very careful on how you present information, and he was relaying that to the gentleman that wanted to make that loose connection to that image as a hieroglyph. And I follow that. I use that as a foundation in whatever I do. Because if you are in the business of information and journalism, you want to make sure what you're saying is right. And if you feel that your information is not right, you got to preface it with saying, hey, man, I don't have everything, but this is what I'm going to present to you. When I come up with more information, I will continue the story into my next show, whatever the case may be. But if you go on wild flights of fancy and be like, oh my God, these aliens are coming down because you see this, it looks like a flying saucer. Whoa, man, you look crazy. And you just got to be careful, especially when you're in it, because people will use it against you. Especially if you're in the business of information, people will use it against you. They're like, well, remember that time you said you didn't say nothing about that? And they'll use that to try to invalidate who you are as a person that you are. You know what I mean? So you got to admit to your mistakes. You got to look, all in all, I feel public figures got to develop a following by their own way. They have to be responsible to the audience. They got to be responsible to their peers in the field. And to me, it plays a big difference on ensuring you don't become a leader of some occult based on some narrow-minded tinfoil hat wearing baseless information that few will listen to. That's easy to get into the occult. It's easy to. When you start going off on craziness, and then the people that back you because they like what you were saying initially, they'll get hip to it and they'll slowly start pulling away. And now, you may still have your crowd, but now you have whittled your crowd down to, again, tinfoil wearing, hat wearing folks, that eat peanut butter and scratch their sweaty bellies in the basement, and like, hey, and they'll look all cockeyed and crazy, and you think you have a following, but then when you go out there and you deal with people, all you got is some half-crazed lunatics that for some reason emotionally connected to you, and that is your audience. That's not what Lyfeblood is about. That's not where I come from. I'm not doing that. I want to sit next to the professionals, the highest in their field, and they have the evidence and the white papers and the studies, and they're going to bring it together, and we're going to produce information that will benefit people. I'm not going to go on some wild half cockamamie scheme and say, well, aliens came down and they connected us to 5G, and that's what it was always, it's a world war of worlds, and that's what they did. They're doing to black people. Nah, man, don't do that. We don't need that right now. We do not need that right now. And not just for black people, but the world, because the world, they're starving for information and true information. And you do a disservice to everyone when you come up with half-ass shit. And I've been seeing it for a long time. I've been watching, and I watch, and and I see where they're coming from, and I just don't want to go there. It does nothing for your brand. It does nothing for you. It does nothing for the audience that you have built up, because you can easily slip into that occult type of behavior. You know what I mean? So be responsible, be professional, and make sure whatever you have to say on the mic through the airwaves around the world has some hard, concrete fact backing, because in the long run it will help you out. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I've been wanting to say that for a long time. So anyway, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate you guys listening to me and tuning in every week. I'll listen to more dope artists from one week to the next, and hopefully that I can inspire folks out there around the world to start taking some responsibility of their own and finding their passion and building with the people next to them and building that network within the Lyfeblood network. And if you guys have any issues or have any further questions or what I said as far as what a lifer is, please reach out to me on the networks. You email me, go to the site, and you can reach out at me at info@Lyfeblood.com. You can go to my IG account, you go to my Twitter account. I do have an FB page, but I that's the only social media platform that I keep, locked with the people that I do. I know about 300 or 400 people on Facebook. I like it to keep it like that. But I open it up to the people and the masses on Twitter, on Instagram, and build up like that. So it's about building that network, man, and creating that community where we're going to take a step forward for all of humanity, continue the human story, and taking the best of what we are and living by that value, living by that example. So yeah, man. So I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for listening to me, and I appreciate it, man. I appreciate everybody that tunes in, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the New York Tech. That's still going. That's still popping. And also the commercial will be dropping soon. As far as helping to inspire people to get through this COVID-19 situation, this dark cloud over our head. And hopefully you guys can enjoy that commercial and reaching people that haven't heard about the show at Lyfeblood.com and expanding that. It's not going to be for everybody. It's all good. But I'll deal with that 100 million. that 100 million people to be a part of this community, man. So I'll see you guys next week. Peace and love. And I'm out.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town. We out.